Welcome to Alive on One, a podcast based on miniature games, and today with a focus on Marvel Crisis Protocol. Today, we will be talking about our experience at Squaggles 2026. With me are my teammates for the event, and it includes Mike Wahler. Say hi, Mike.
What's up?
And a special guest, Mike Whalen, a famous person we mentioned on this cast a lot, but finally here in audio format for your listening pleasure. Hi, Mike. How's it going?
Hey, I'm glad to be here so that I can ensure that the podcast doesn't start 20 minutes from now, unlike a typical Stephen Bork episode.
Well, I like to set it off. First of all, Jian, you're giving him too much credit. You're calling this man famous. He's more like infamous.
He is. His name has been dropped a lot of times. You can thank Bork for that, so I have to mention this in some way. Yeah, the reason we started doing time skips was because of Mike Whalen, so you're welcome, audience members, for his contribution to this podcast. Now, should we like to begin? Let's start with our Alive on One story. And Mike Whalen, you have an Alive on One story. Would you like to say it?
Yeah, so in the finals against Sooner, I brought Lockjaw, and at one point I pushed him off the board like super aggressively. The point where Sooner said like this seems like a mistake, and it probably was. I allowed Luke Cage to just kind of tee off on Lockjaw, but he was left alive on one round two. And then he was never damaged. He wasn't damaged again for the following two rounds. He just kind of kept teleporting my models and being stationary. Because Sooner just had other things he needed to target, my extract holders or try to stop Black Bolt and, move him around. And Lockjaw just sat there teleporting 1 to 2 models every turn and just being like generally useful. And I think that him not going down could have been the thing that won me that game. If I had chosen the correct direction to teleport in one of the later rounds. So had I won that game, a big part of that would have been Lockjaw being alive on one, round two, and then not going down in the subsequent rounds.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that range 3 teleport that you just get all the time, like it gives you so much value for all your good pieces.
Well, Jin, I mean, you know this. I just recorded one of my first YouTube videos that isn't just streaming. For the first time in a long time, I used to do some videos about Magneto, and the first topic I chose was Lockjaw because I think he is one of the most criminally underrated models in the game. He was present in a handful of lists at Squaggles, and I don't think people understand how much value you get out of that model post round one. His round one game plan is really strong, but after that, there's a lot he can do to sort of fix your team, adding dice, throwing terrain. He's just like a generally good model, and I'm looking to play him more places than just in humans.
I will say about Lockjaw, I actually used him yesterday at the shop, and I always thought that he was a model that after round one doesn't do anything. But I know me and you have had multiple talks about our lists, and I was using Lockjaw how you intend to use him later in the game, and I used him to port my ultimate miles back behind a line of sight blocker as he was alive on one. So he wasn't able to get attacked by Baron Zemo, and then he ported Nova up to set up a beam for when Nova went. And it's pretty nice using him in a different fashion.
Was that the part of the game? Was that against Deaton?
No.
No, that was at the shop.
He was at the shop yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, this is when I was playing against Rob.
I like it. Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. Like a lot of people really sleep on Lockjaw because like they just see the turn one pattern and then they just kind of stop thinking about it afterwards. And like I think there's a lot of skill expression you can give with that character because like he's got so many other things, right, that you mentioned, Mike, that he can do on his card that are just generally very useful support abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And something like Magneto where he can throw terrain immediately, start the power train, and then move Magneto up the board. You could create like insane tempo from that. If you teleport Mags up range 3, after you threw some terrain, Mags starts with 3 power. He could throw a size 3 building. And now a model like Rhino on your team can start with 3 power. Or, someone else where like a 3 power is a significant tempo starter for them. And that's not the only place where he can be really good. So I think people should definitely consider that model.
I like it. Yeah, no, he's best boy. I think he should get a little more playtime for sure. Let's see. Let's go on to hobby catch up. So I think Waller, do you have something as far as a hobby catch up to give us?
I finished Nova. I painting Nova with oil paints I kind of got him to a good spot. I just have to finish his non-metallic metal for his gold parts, but he's basically almost done. And then I built CGR, and I am right now building, as we record, I'm building Omega Sentinel because I want to try her. After playing a couple times on TTS, I felt like she's worth the buy. So I'm done buying every box. Like I don't want to do that anymore on every release. It's a model I've tried on TTS a couple times and I actually like them. So I really like her. So I'm building her right now.
Yeah, no, I think Omega is just a really good role player as far as like a splash piece goes. Especially if pay to flips are becoming more and more prevalent. That stat ability is just so good, dude.
I'm thinking about because her kit when she gets refunded works on source extracts, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, it only works on secures, so
it is only
secure.
Okay,
secures,
but
yeah.
I'm thinking about using her maybe an ACO. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try her this next week to see if I like her in my ultimate spot. So yeah.
It's weird. I thought your hobby catch up with you mentioning that you were finishing 2099 in miles for me. But that's okay. I'm sure the next hobby catch up will be you mentioning that.
Oh, I got you. I told you Mike Friday. But I haven't painted anything before Squaggles. Nova, I was painting Nova on Friday before my flight. I haven't painted anything since we got back.
What? That's crazy.
I usually am painting every day.
Yep. Well, I think we all needed a lot of recovery from a very impactful weekend. But let's talk about some upcoming events. So just a heads up to everybody that's listening. This should be, I believe, the 4th or so that this gets released. So Atlantic City Open is just around the corner on June 12th to the 14th. We'll be hosting that. It will be a clocked event for the singles event on Saturday and Sunday, I believe. So I'm pretty excited to join in for that. Will's also doing a pretty crazy team event, so please come down for Friday as well if you're interested in a no holds bar, unrestricted teams event. That all the cards are kind of like legit to go, so that's insanity. I think the three of us are going to try to make it. We will do our best.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go gamble. That's my only reason. I want to go to the poker table.
Excellent. Whalen, are you coming?
Still deciding. I'm leaning towards doing so now. Likely to come down with Omar, but I haven't. I'm looking at all the events coming up over the next few months and just seeing where I want to spend my money. But I think I want to go to ACO just because I won last year, so like I want to kind of defend that title. And I want to stop, Mike Dambois from winning or you guys from winning. Make sure you guys are sad. So that's how I get motivated for things is to take fun away from others.
Yeah, fun is a very finite resource. That's right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you can try to stop us. We'll see what happens. All right. So the next one I want to mention is the Top Deck Grand Tournament. If you're interested in GT pricing, there is one in New Jersey in Cherry Hill on June the 27th. It's just Saturday. That should be a one-day event. You can get that ticket with or without a meal, I guess. But yeah, if you're interested in any sort of GT stuff, please come down for that. Next one I want to mention in New England, there's the Iron World Team Tournament in Wakefield, Massachusetts from July 10th to July 12th. And will be hosted by Brian Watson. And so it usually is a pretty good event. It's not a GT this time, so we are allowed to just do a 3-man team event. So please check out more details on that at Iron World and Wicked Dicey. Let's see. There's also the Rock City Rumble GT in Rochester, New York. That's going to be on August 29th to August 30th. Ben can't make it out on that, so please steal all of the pricing in New York City, or New York State, I should say, from him, if you would like to go to that. Let's see. And then there's the Saint Laurent Open in Montreal, Canada on, I believe it's, I think it might be in October, I want to say. But it's going to be at the L'Abyss, and Simon's hosting that. So if you'd like to take a trip out to Montreal and visit the Montreal Shark Tank boys, they're hosting an event, in the fall. So more detail to come on that. Okay, with that, that'll be our initial announcement portion of this, and it's not 20 minutes, Mike. You'll be so surprised. It's only 9 minutes. It wasn't even 10 minutes.
I'm proud of you, Jian.
Thanks. All right, so now to the meat and potatoes of this episode. All right, squad goals. We are better than Jeff's team. I still think we're better than Jeff's team, but
we are better than Jeff's team officially.
Are we? Actually?
Yeah, if you look at the Longshanks, we are second. They did top table placing. So we are officially better than Jeff's team.
Let's go.
Really?
Let's go.
Oh. All right, so we can brag. Yeah, we're better than Jeff's team. Take that, Jeff and Ben, plus Shadow Moral.
Yep.
I have no quarrel with Shadow Marvel. It's all
I don't
Ben and
either. It's just
Jeff.
against Jeff and Ben.
It's really just Jeff and Gen. John Marv was pretty cool though. He actually gave us a really good breakfast spot over the weekend, and I so thankful for that. So let's see. So to begin our squad goals journey, I figured it'd be good for listeners to have us talk about our journey as far as the creation of our team and kind of our journey like through the process. We're not going to focus too much on the individual games, just more like it's like, hey, this is a 3-man team tournament. What kind of stuff do you want to think about as far as like making a 3-man team like goes, right? So for squad goals, the rules of the tournament is that the 3 players on each team must have unique characters, but Tactics Guards and Crisis can overlap. So now you're trying to pare down this like 220 or so character list in Marvel and create 3 sets of 10 characters for your roster. So it begins a lot of conversations, right? And like what people want to run. And also before that, also like what kind of goals you want to have in mind there. So for us, I think we pretty unanimously, like the 3 of us, like wanted to like have a shot at like winning this event. Would you guys agree?
100%.
Yeah, Wahler and I went last year, and we teamed with Aaron England, who is a cool guy. But we definitely wanted to go and run it back with another pork roll person. So thankfully, you were available to join our team.
I was, yes. Last year, Ben was supposed to go with me, so he wasn't able to make it. So we ended up bringing, like, sort of a, like, let's just have an experience kind of team. I was glad Bork was able to come with me, but this year I was definitely pretty hungry to try to, like, take an honest crack at it. So it was just alignment of goals, I think, which was really important. And that's kind of one of the first steps, I think, right? I'm picking your teammates, is making sure that we share commonality in goals when doing a team event together.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us having the same mindset that we want to put the practice in over the course of a couple months and really try to make a good run and practicing with each other and taking each other's feedback and putting really the reps in with our lists was definitely a common goal between all 3 of us.
Yeah, I think we had a pretty good flow as a group in terms of nobody had the ego where if advice was given that it wasn't taken.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I take Jin's advice seriously, but also like I'm confident in my own decisions where I can tell Jin like, no, I'm not going to do that, and here's why. But at the same time, when there was advice given, it was taken.
I mean, yeah, ultimately you're the final like say, right, Mike, and what you want to do with the thing. I'm just trying to give you my opinion sometimes, right? And I think it's as long as we always recognize that's from a place of just like, it's like, hey, there's some thought behind this. We're not just saying it just to say it, right? And I think that's important that you kind of respect everyone's opinion, even if you don't take it at the end of the day, which I appreciate between the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like an example is you telling me to play the Hulk jank and supplies. Like, even though it didn't pop up this weekend, I think the list was better having that in there. So and you were the one that kind of pushed me to actually do it. But there was also other things that you brought up over the course of, the month leading up to it that I didn't listen to. So but the point was that when you did give advice, I listened to that advice, thought about it, and I didn't really have like the ego where, all right, I'm not going to do that. And I think we all had a similar thing. Waller's Guardians list was like, as much as it was Waller's, it was also mine in the sense that the 2 of us really talked a lot about the list, practiced it, tested it into defenders, tested ideas, talked through ideas.
Yeah, I don't consider my list like just my list. I consider it's a list that all 3 of us concocted because I was having a very hard time trying to figure out what affiliation I wanted to play. I originally wanted to play Guardians for months. And then the more I played them, I wasn't jamming with the traditional gunline style with like Namor, Zemo, like Yondu, and like Agent Venom. And it just wasn't my game plan. And then I went back to Webs, even though definitely screwed us up for like 2 weeks when I was on Webs, like taking the Webs characters back that you guys had. Then after getting my ass kicked in this new meta with Webs, I went back to Guardians and like restructured and was like, how can we make this work? And I remember one night it was like one of me and Jin's late games, like 1 or 2 in the morning. I was like, Jin, I'm just gonna try like shit models in my list that people don't think are good in Guardians. And I tried out Nova and like we tried Ronin. And we were like, oh, this really has something to the list. And then I told Mike about it. And then all 3 of us, like the past like was like 2 months after that, really was like concocting my list all together to make it to counter a lot of the meta lists.
It was a rare time where someone pitched a model that was maligned to me, and I was like, yeah, I see the value there. Because normally, as you like, you know, especially Wahler, like a lot of times you or Jian or someone will, or Pedro especially, will pitch me an idea, and I'd be like, that's dog shit. I'm not doing that. But when you pitched Nova, I was much more willing to listen because I saw the vision on that. And like, I think right now I'm way more open-minded to things than I ever have been, just because anytime post-crisis changes, there's a lot to be considered. So I felt like the Nova idea was worth pursuing. And then ultimately, like where the list ended up, I was really happy with where it was. And it bore out, right? You went 4-0 in the proper event. And a big part of that, I think, was the list.
Yeah, the list had a lot of flexibility where it's not. We can get down in like a little bit when we talk about the event, but we didn't really put me down first. We only put down Jian, but I didn't feel scared into basically any matchup. But we were saving my list to punish certain lists when they were put down. And my list was like the punish list that people wouldn't expect as much with the characters and the style that I was playing of Guardians.
Yeah, so part of the thing also is like after you sort of like, get your team together, right? Is that, for our purposes, right, that we really wanted to like make a good go of this event, we really need to hash out like what kind of affiliations, right, you're going to expect at this event. So I think we saw pretty early that, Strange Defenders is very much in vogue in the US at the moment. So you need some sort of answer to some sort of Blue Marvel Soul Strange configuration, right? And them being very, very like, for instance, susceptible to displacement means that there's characters like Nova, right, that are now like, it's like, okay, this character's a lot more in play because we just need to push them. And if you can push 1, 5, or 6 threat model off a point than where they need to be and they don't have action compression, it's a big deal, right? Especially with portals being in play. So we thought about, defenders. We also thought about guardians as well, because like, conversely, Adam Warlock, is a new hotness in town. It's just an unkillable model. It also has its own weaknesses if it gets a tall list. But also guardians, even under Star-Lord, also like is a skew that you have to sort of like think about, right? As far as like energy attacks, just being like very prevalent in very many places. And, I mean, yeah. What other affiliations do you think we had to account for? Like, I know there's a bunch more, but like we talked about a couple.
Kingpin and Sam Avengers. I feel.
Yes. So yeah, for Kingpin, right? I wasn't sure how prevalent they would be at this event because Adepticon was very prevalent, but that's because it was a round timer event, and since Squad Goals was going to be a chess clock event, we were thinking that there'd probably be less Kingpins that we'd see, and I think that ultimately did bore out. Would you agree, Whalen?
Yeah, Adepticon is a fake event, so Kingpin was all over the place, but Squad Goals is a real event, the chess clocks, so it promoted more quality lists rather than gimmicks.
Damn. But you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I know how you feel about clocks too.
Yes, no, I agree. Like maybe a skosh like less on the gas there, but 100% agree though. Like it does leave this event very susceptible, right, to high scoring teams quickly. So if you're playing like Kingpin, like that's so good for round timers because it's nothing to enforce, slow play or anything like that. Even if it's unintentional, right? At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So
I think shield was something we really expected a lot of too, and I don't think there was as much shield as we thought there would be. Or I thought there would be.
No, I don't think there was a lot.
The most prevalent things were defenders and guardians, and then it was a bit more varied after that, if I remember the numbers.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get the super top tier, the tier for the Longshanks, but oh man, Nate totally, absolutely put up the stats somewhere at some point, and I'm apologize, listeners, we don't have that necessarily on hand. But yeah, for sure though, Guardians and Defenders were definitely like the top two, I think. And then there was like, even drops off from there. But you can usually expect like Avengers, I think, for instance, like that's a pretty stable like mainstay, right, for a lot of third lists. I think Shield we thought was going to be pretty popular just because like the characters went through their health buffs. It's like you happen to be part of these couple of affiliations that got health buffs in their characters well before the July update, which, I think would push people towards these affiliations.
if you guys want the top 5 affiliations, because I have it up. Number 1 was Guardians, Defenders is number 2, Webs is number 3, Kingpin is number 4, and Avengers is number 5.
Well, Webs is aided by 3 people on the same team playing it.
Yes, 100%.
Yo, shout out to that team. That's it was so brave. Like, just respect. At the end of the day, they also had water bottles, so like they made sure that no one like was dehydrated while playing them. So definitely one of the better spirit leagues for that team for that event. So yeah, when thinking about our potential matchups, then you start picking down like the different affiliations, right? So obviously, there's sort of a little bit of rock paper scissors I think you can think of, depending on the tools that each affiliation has. So we also thought it's like, okay, well, what beats Guardians and Defenders is potentially Guardians and Defenders, right? If you kit them well, but not necessarily do the mirrors, right? And I think for me, I was kind of between a few different places I can go for a third affiliation, since there wasn't ultimately a top 3 like hardline. So I went with Shield because, like I said, there's a few of them like Hawkeye, Nick Fury. They've gotten their health buffs. Double Bubble still very much a prevalent like skew. Defenders and Guardians didn't really need like a double bubble setup. I know Art, one of our locals, is like really hit high on that as far as like his gunline style, and it works for him. But since we were realizing that Wahler didn't really need to play that, but he was playing the more scenario, right, with the displacement, that opens up the ability for double bubble to be transferred to another character or another player, I should say, and then I ended up taking that instead, and that's kind of my thought process there.
Well, I mean, I think Wahler and DeLuca proved that, or in my mind, proved that the double bubble Guardians is the inferior version. Like, Art's my boy, but I think that like the double bubble, even Art actually dropped Zemo, by the way, from his list. He was only playing Namor.
Whoa.
So I guess,
he just has Namor now.
Yeah. So last time I played him, he didn't have Zemo, so he's moving in a similar direction. I think a lot of people are feeling that way, that you don't need as many rerolls in Guardians. I think Guardians is actually really... Zach Cohen said it earlier today, so I'm going to steal his idea and pretend it's mine. In that he said Guardians, like a scenario Guardians list is really good because it kills better than the scenario teams and plays scenario better than the killy teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really interesting point, but I think it's also exactly what Wahler did at Squad Goals. Like when I played him with Defenders, he out-scenarioed me by pushing my models around and scoring points. And then if he went into like a more scenario-based team, he just kind of blew them off the table with winging at tokens and killing them.
Yeah, like my first game into Shield, they were up by points, but the list was so effective at killing too that it slowed the game down.
Yeah. So you can kind of, it says like, am I the beatdown? That's like the classic Magic like phrase, right? It's like, who's actually like, on the offensive tempo here, and who's just trying to like score out the game in a different fashion, right? So I think that is a really good call out for the flexibility, right, of Guardians right now. So for me, because the ability to unlock skulls is really powerful. Zemo ended up being such a monster in Invaders. Like it was not uncommon for me to get like 4 or 5 net hits, right, on a Zemo attack when he was able to Master Swordsman also be under a Namor double bubble. So like it allowed him to just like have a tremendously good output for that. Now, on top of that, too, the way I was kind of ended up building my list, I ended up like having a few pet characters, and they just didn't end up working out. So I was really hard on to try Widow 3 threat. That's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., the one with the interrogation stuff. I really wanted to make it work. But unfortunately, what I ended up realizing is that Double Bubble really accelerates when I'm able to splash like some very strong reroll characters. So eventually I had to drop her, unfortunately, for Widow 2 just for the splash ability, which is a shame because I think that 6/6 health 3-threat Widow is like really good right now.
Literally painting her as we speak.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe in a future iteration, or it might be an Avengers list or A-Force list in the future. But like, I think she definitely has merits. But just for what I was trying to go for, like, I was trying too hard to like fit like a square peg, in a round hole, and it just didn't quite work out. I don't know if you guys also had experience like it's like babies you kind of have to kill off like in the list creation process.
For me, I mean, so I had like 2 cherry pick models. They both made my list. One though is staying, and one is like completely just getting cut after a bunch of games. The first is Drax. I really wanted to make Drax work, but after talking with people at Squall Goals, it should just be 3-threat Moondragon because at least she can pick up the home scroll if need be. And she's not a bad 3-threat, and she's faster than Drax. And even though Drax's Spender is great and his 2-power cost Headbutt is great, there's just a lot of matchups now where he just gets displaced completely, even if you do backstop him against terrain, and it's just not enough. So I am cutting him from my list. But my other cherry pick model was Ultimate Spider-Man. I've been having him every single one of my lists since he's come out, and I'm going to continue to because he's just my favorite model in the game. I know how to play him. I know when to be aggressive with him. I know when to fall back with him. I know when, depending on the objective, if this is going to be a fighty ultimate or if this is going to be just scory ultimates. So I've really got his playstyle down to a key. So yeah, he was my biggest cherry pick model.
Yeah, for me, it's like he feels like a lot like your Shang-Chi, right? Like just a generic good 4-threat that you always know like what to do as far as like what to assign him for a job.
That's actually a good way to describe it. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is Wahler is picking a busted model and pretending it's like a pet character. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. He is busted, and he's my cherry pick because he goes in every one of my lists, and I love him.
Well, he's only got 5 health in the back. You know, he's balanced.
Yeah, Mike, you could die sometimes.
I haven't seen it.
I have, and I am very sad when it happens.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen him die actually.
Man, this is probably just skill issue on my end. I don't know. All right, Whalen, did you have any like cherry pick models or like models you had to cut that you were excited about?
Models I was excited. I don't. There were the briefest moment I had Spider-Man 2099 in my list, but typically I play broken things, so I don't think there was any point. I mean, you guys saw a lot of my list. I don't think there was any point where I ever was taking a model other than because they were really strong and made sense for the list.
I think.
I mean, Black Cat. I mean, she's objectively like just a generically strong model, but I took her over Man-Thing, who I think makes more sense maybe in the list. But I just love Black Cat in this game. I love the paint job I have on her, and she also is still busted. So she maybe is the closest thing to a pet character. I love that model.
The fact that Man-Thing was not on your final list as even with the defender splash, I was like, oh, are you sure, man? Like,
I never felt like I missed. And then like in the finals game, if I'd had Man-Thing instead of Black Cat, I couldn't have done the things I was doing. So she was staggering King T and running away. So King T never double tap me. And that's Sooner. Like Sooner is one of the top players in the world, and he never got a double tap with King T. So she did her job.
I will say though, in your testing, even though he is still a really good model, I will kind of say Black Panther 1 was a little bit your cherry pick, just because you didn't have Bill, so you're trying to find like a Bill substitute, and he was working pretty well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I love Black Panther 1, but I think he's just I think he's probably slept on. I mean, he's definitely slept on. Like, I don't see a need to reach for Bill in Avengers when you've got Black Panther right there. Even though Bill's a little better, I'll still take Bill most of the time. But I don't think Black Panther's a bad call at all. He's still absurd.
Still is, yeah. Still one of the best 4-threats printed since Gen 1 of this game. And he hasn't really changed much, besides like a couple of like size restrictions on his displacements.
Yeah, originally he was sizeless displacement, right?
Yeah, that was really
Him and Shuri?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
not
okay. Wave. Oh my god. Let's see. Okay, so I think we can move on then. So as far as like practicing incorporating changes, I mean, I think we kind of already talked about it a bit. So let's see. And
yeah, I mean, I think I would say add on to that, because this is something I think that people need to hear, is that like removing your ego is really important. And if you want to be a competitive player, I mean, just in life in general, like one of the things, I'm a teacher, and one of the things I often do is I'm very self-reflective. I read books and I criticize my pedagogy often. And in MCP, I criticize my list building and decisions often. And I'll take advice. And I think like people, I always joke about stealing lists, and people get deeply offended by that. But I I don't need someone to pat me on the back and say, Mike, what a brilliant list you made. I want them to hand me a trophy or something along those lines. And I'm willing to accept sometimes that someone else's idea is better than my own. And I think that's important to becoming a better player.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there is like some sort of like, people just get like different dopamine hits, right? Like some people really want like, to experiment and like self-make a list, and have their own like particular like spin on something. Whereas like other folks, like we just want to execute like a plan like super well, right?
I mean, I'm willing to do either, whatever makes sense. Like when I played Wakanda, I won ACO last year, and that was my list. That wasn't. There were certain similar conclusions that were made, right? Like Luke Cage being core to the list was something that a number of us came to that conclusion. But then, like, I played Abomination and Beta Ray Bill, and Beta Ray Bill doesn't sound like a sexy split. Like, who wasn't? Not a lot of people were playing Bill at that time in Wakanda. A lot of people like Connor, Sweepy, etc. were like all guns, all gas, no brakes, just kill, kill, kill. But I was playing Bill, Abomination. I tried Loki too, and I was playing like a Wakanda list that was just hard to kill. And because they were hard to kill, it meant King T was just generating insane power and then killing the world. And I found that list to be really successful. And I didn't see anyone else running Abomination there.
Yeah, it's I think your list was really good because it really thought about the roles, right, for what characters do. Like
Yes.
having Luke Cage and Abomination is really needed, right? Because you need like some sort of vanguard model, right, to go up. I think sometimes people get too like enraptured, but it's like, oh, well, later in the turn, this model is really, really strong. It's like, okay, but you still need a model to go first, in a turn, or be able to like position himself so that he's able to take hits, right? And I think that's sort of like something you need to really think about whenever you are making a squad. And I think your list was really good because it incorporated like those role players in the right spots, and that's what helps you win ACO at the end of the day. So, but
Wait,
yeah, what's up, Mike?
I have a question for Mike. So, we all know like you go and like you cherry pick different lists. How do you come to the conclusion which one to play? Because you were trying a bunch with your Defenders duel, like a bunch of different halves. Like you tried Kingpin, you tried Sam, then you tried the Inhumans one. How do you like come to that conclusion on which one you want to do?
I mean, I take lists when I have an idea and someone else is already testing it. So, like, one of the things I often do is I talk to DeLuca, like, almost daily, and I talk to Curtis quite a bit. And if they're testing something, I don't feel the need to test the same thing. If Curtis plays something 10 times and is like, oh, that's really good, then I can test a different model and get double the data, right? So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll test, like, for Inhumans, I was testing, what was I? I was testing like Miles 1, and I was testing 2099, and then ultimately I settled on a couple of the same things Curtis was doing because I tested other ideas, didn't like them a ton, and then I could use the data from a Curtis or a Deaton and consider that science, Or like when I played Wakanda, I played things and then I saw Sooner playing Luke Cage and talked with him, and he's like, okay, here's why Luke Cage is kind of core. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. For this event, I played my own duel, which was Sam. Like that was an idea. I mean, Jeff had it and Jeremy had it. Like that was something that I thought made a lot of sense, but then I got blown off the table one game, and I was like, this is too fair. So let me talk to people that are doing unfair things. And the two, like I had the idea to play Steve 1, and Liam Watt pitched me on that, and I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. But then I also was interested in what Curtis was doing with Inhumans, because I love Inhumans is my favorite leadership in the game. I love power leaderships. So like he had this idea, and he was like, listen, you play civilians and you do this, and that game plan sort of just appealed to me.
Yeah.
I don't play Guardians, even though I just bought some Guardians from you. And even though people are doing things with Guardians, it's just not a list that interests me. But if someone's winning with something that's I find interesting, I'll try their list out and then make changes after I understand why they're doing what they're doing. I think that's something a lot of people don't do is they'll look at something someone's doing, make changes before testing the idea someone else came up with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll try something DeLuca recommends or Curtis recommends or, whoever. understand all the decisions they made and then add my spin as I find, the things I don't like about the way they play. Curtis has a certain way of playing. He valued Man-Thing more. I didn't like some of the scrolls setups that he and Deaton liked, so I went and changed a model to Black Cat so that to open up options for me at 20.
Yeah.
Same thing with Hulk. So it didn't get to show it at squad goals, but if I had gotten scrolls or senators, I was going to play Hulk there, and that's something Deaton couldn't do, and something that I don't think Curtis was interested in doing, partially because he had Nick Fury. So I took a lot of ideas from different people, but then there's also here's the things I like. And Mike, I'll quiz you. I think Jian would figure this out very quickly. Mike, why do you think I want to play Hulk on senators?
On senators?
Yeah. With the list I brought to squad goals.
Let me think. Jim probably would get this.
I think Jian could probably figure out why I go to that.
I haven't seen Hulk on Senator in a long time.
Okay. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, let me take
go ahead, Wahler. Take it.
I understand with Hulk on Senators is he can grab somebody's home senator and then you could potentially take Lockjaw to move him back to safety.
You could do that. It's not what I was going to do.
All right, so go, Jim.
So my assumption is that you're waiting for someone to pick up a senator. So Hulk can double walk, pick up his own senator, then throw that guy backwards into your lines to be bullied in Terrigenesis round 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, you could do too.
That is an option, but it's not my game plan. So I'm disappointed in you, Jim, because as you would know, I was a longtime Brotherhood player, and Brotherhood loved to abuse senators with Hulk and Juggernaut. And in humans, I can take Toad and Hulk and steal my opponent's senators, force them to come to my side, Lockjaw up my Black Bolt, and just double tap something and Terrigenesis them round 1.
That's spicy.
Yeah, so that's the inner Brotherhood player saying, "Oh, I can just do the Brotherhood thing, but somewhere else."
Yeah. Yep. And that should be mentioned too. Is that sometimes a player is just very familiar, right, on a particular crisis. That even though this is not I guess the 1-for-1, you're so familiar with that layout and those sort of restrictions that you can kind of figure out what the play pattern is, right, in a new affiliation. So there's something to be said about that, making it your own. It's not just the characters, but also in your crisis selection, right?
I think that's a really good assessment to play to what your strengths are. So me as a player, my strengths are D-maps from webs. I'm really good at playing on the spread out maps and outscoring my opponents. So I believe I was the only Guardians roster that had the new Power Overload secure in my list. And that's because with Guardians, I felt very confident that my opponent would be surprised of how fast I can score on it with the models that I could bring. If it's I need a little more fighty, I can go Nova, Juggernaut, Star-Lord, Bill, and Nebula at 19. Or I can go, instead of Nebula and Juggernaut, I can go another 3 and a 4. I can go Ultimates and Drax. And you can, on your opponent's home Power Overload with Nova, you can move long, do the cannon, and faster than light. And then if you get a damage, you push them off, and then you place yourself within range 3 or range 2 to be on top of the secure to get the bonus point. Or if they have multiple characters, then you just double walk Nova and do call for backup, and then push them all away. And that way, you should be going up, in most cases, 6 points round 1 by 3 secures plus the bonus point, and then 2 extracts. And it's just a play style that I was very familiar with, and that I found on a lot of different secures with my Guardians list that fit how I want to play.
Yeah. And for me, I also was going with the more scory brain while using Shield. That's why Omega Sentinel ended up being in the list, because the pay to flips ended up being the best, scoring out situations. So she's really good at just diving last turn on either X-Men facilities or Guardian Safe Pure Empress or something, and just nabbing you that extra point so that you're up 5-3 in the last scenarios on if there were 8 points on the board round 1, and that puts a lot of pressure on opponents.
Did you play her much this weekend?
I did. She was in half my games, I would say.
Nice.
We didn't debrief a ton because Wahler and I finished all our games in 20 minutes. and then went and got like coffee or food or something, while we left poor Jin behind to just finish his game in isolation.
Yeah, I usually end up taking a lot more time with my games as a whole. So I'm not sure it's just because of the matchups I have, or it's just me as a personality. As far as like how do I play these games out? So who knows?
Did you guys use every model on your list over the weekend? There's one model I didn't get to use.
I didn't use She-Hulk. She was in there for a very specific situation that if I had Alien Ship, so if I had Alien Ship and Deadly Meteors as the pairing, where there's only like 6 points but very close to the map, I would use Jenny, but that's really the only time I would use her.
Yeah. I never got to use Juggernaut, ironically, because I kept playing at 20 threat all my games. So I just kept bringing the same core at 20 threat, which was Nova, Star-Lord, Ultimate Spider-Man, Quasar, and Bill. So was it 3 out of 4 of my games were 20 threat? So I never got to really explore any other options.
Was that more of a 19 threat situation you bring out Juggernaut, or like what's the I forgot.
Mostly 19 and 18 I would bring Juggernaut.
Okay.
And we never got to play on like the secures where I will want Juggernaut. Or yeah.
Whalen, did you have a model that you took in your list but never used this weekend?
I never got to play Hulk.
Oh, right. Yeah, but that's because no one dared challenge you on a salvage plan, right?
I did play Salvage Supplies round 1, but at 16 threat, so I couldn't bring Hulk. And then I didn't play a high enough threat to bring him in Inhumans or Inhumans.
Okay. So, all right. Let's see. As far as like our list goes, we'll try to post them like somewhere, but at worst you can always find them on the Squad Goals tournament. But basically, generally like Whalen ended up working a Inhumans and Defenders duel. Wahler ended up with a pure Guardians list with both leaders, and I ended up using a Shield list with both leaders as well. Not No Steve 2, but it was just Nick Fury and Namor, with splashes of using Emma, and it'll make a Sentinel for depending if I need displacement or a pay to flip person, basically. So,
I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think helped you guys with your practice the most over the past couple months?
So I think it's really important that when you do sit down for a practice game to just let people know that first you're playing a practice game. And if we're playing against each other, we also were very good about, like, I think letting things kind of either play out or re-rack, depending on like what you're specifically wanting to test. I know, Mike, Whalen, you like to re-rack a lot. I think Wall and I like to play out just a little bit further to see like where the game goes a little bit, but it depends on like what you're looking to test out right at the time, and just being open to what the person needs at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm practicing for a specific event and testing a specific thing, like Waller and I were testing the most common matchup, which is Guardians and Defenders. I knew it was going to be the most common matchup, so I wanted to test out the correct squads and openings. So, like, there were certain games where it didn't make sense to continue playing the game out if the point of the game was to be practice. I would never do that, like, on a Tuesday night playing with somebody else, but, like, if we're both sitting down and saying we're both practicing for this event, we want to test this matchup out, then playing it out all the time doesn't make sense to me. I get the other side of the argument, but to me, like, there were times, Waller, right, where we would test an idea and, like, even deployment, right? Like, round 1 openings where, well, it doesn't make sense to play out 2 through 4 when we're trying to figure out how to create parity round 1 or create these optimal setups. So I didn't see the value in not just re-racking some of those.
I think we were good for the most part. Every time we played, like when we sat down for a night and played, we did like 3 to 4 games every time, constantly, and it was like just a re-rack of different layouts to do. And I know, like, I appreciate you helping me with advice. Like, there was like times you're like, "Why are you doing this?" Or like times I'm going with Billy, "Why not just walk there?" And I was like, "Yeah, we talk about it," and like vice versa. Or I remember there was a key time where, like round 1, you like double walked like Blue Marvel somewhere, and I was telling you like, no, you have to put him in front of Strange, otherwise Juggernaut's just gonna bump into Strange on his activation and like daze him. I was like, that's something that you have to like watch out for. And we were really good helping each other out in our practice games, going through the different scenarios.
Right. Yeah, because the goal is not to win the match, right? It's more like we're trying to just like highlight situations where you may be exposed or over leveraged, or where you can be more advantaged, right? And like we're just trying to eke out like little advantages here and there, so that hopefully that all adds up to good games, like when we come game day.
Yeah, and I think Jim, we were good at that too when we practiced on our late nights on TTS. So I felt good going into squad goals. The two teams I felt really good playing into were Defenders and Shield, because that's what you both were respectively playing. So if I was paired into either of those, which I ended up being, I felt really good into the matchups. Which that's something also, if you do go to a team event and your teammate is playing X team, you might actually be pretty good into them just because of the practice.
Yeah, that's true. Just talking about this is more the player and less the affiliation, right? The player will have experiences on crises and certain matchups, right? And whatever their meta is and like models of the encounter, right? So all those are also little X factors that you also can factor in besides just like what affiliation you're playing. So I think we should talk about the pairing process a little bit. So just as a general thing, as team captain, I was graciously, I think, by default given team captain status.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, nobody wanted it, so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to be the dude then in that case. But that was okay because I think one that I really cared about us doing good pairings. So and part of that process is that if you are trying to win an event, right, a team event where there are a little more structure in like the pairing process, you should do your best to do some homework, right, and like get your pairings down. What I mean is that
Boy, did you do homework?
Oh yeah.
The Jim went all out, bro. You went all out for this.
I well, I also need you to fill out the stuff. So kudos to both of you guys for actually filling out and doing the homework, because I would have been so mad if like it's like we walked in that like nobody filled out anything either.
Mm-hmm. Can I say what you did? Like you
Sure, yeah.
So Jian, after lists were locked and they got revealed, Jian took every single team and put them on a spreadsheet, and he put their whole list on a spreadsheet, and then at the bottom he put our names and he put boxes for each list. And he wanted us to rank each list how we feel going into it, either unsure, bad, fair, or good. And we took the time. I remember I was looking at some of them on the while waiting in the airport because I didn't finish everything. I know Whalen took time to look at them, and we each team we marked how we felt into each of their lists, how our list fell into them, and that could be either because that list, like Guardians, is a bad matchup for that team, or it could just be, hey, they have like some gimmick that I don't think I can be good at, against, whatever the reason may be.
Yep. And this is a help to feel for the captains to feel more confident, right, and for the team to feel more confident overall. Because I unfortunately I keep hearing this conversation, right, and not just from squad goals but other team tournaments where you'll have a character, I keep saying character, but a player will be like, oh, I'll fall on the sword for this matchup. And I was like, that feels like there was a failing in the in the pairing process or the list creation process in some way. And then that necessarily isn't necessarily the player's like fault per se. Like it could also be like, hey, people have limited time. This is not really the goal, right? But if you are trying to go for gold, right, I think this is something that you cannot skip, right, in a team tournament. Yes, you can have 3 very strong players, but if you misread the matchups, right, you potentially can lead yourself to an uncomfortable disadvantage where you shouldn't have in that instance. So I don't know, Will, what did you find about the pairing process versus like last year?
I mean, I didn't. I think we still ended up. I mean, I think the value of the sheet was that it made it clear to all 3 of us where a lot of us stood on things before we ever actually paired. And for me, the biggest value in the sheet was just it was an easy way for me to look through every team, because what I do is I look through every team, identify gimmicks that could catch us out, and then, like for instance, right, I called out DeLuca has Lockjaw. There's something here. Let's figure it out. And Wahler was like, okay, if you teleport CGR, then he bumps one, he hits deployment. It's like, okay, cool. We've made a note of that, so watch out for that. And that was like a bunch of the lists I looked through and identified their crises, so I could be like, okay, this person doesn't have a lot of civilians, so like I don't want to. I would like to not pair into them. I'd rather pair into the guy that's got 3 or 4 civilians, so that I can maximize the odds of that. Like I think we paired perfectly in the finals, and I think that Grip It and Rip It would agree with that, and I've heard them agree with that. And it didn't work out exactly as planned. Obviously, we lost, but I had a 90% chance or 80-something% chance to pull a civilian out of Sooners list. I didn't. I got both assets, but like most of the time, that's going to work out in my favor, and I'm going to feel advantaged in that matchup. It just didn't happen that day, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so
I didn't know you pulled both
yeah.
assets. Oh my god, okay.
So that's why we wanted those matchups the way we did.
Yeah.
We knew Deaton would go down first. We felt that we set up Waller's team to be successful in there. I do think if Deaton plays Steve 1 there, it's a different game, but that's a different issue.
I 100% agree with that statement. I told him too. I was going back and forth when we were drafting our teams. I was like, is he going to do defenders? Which like it was like a does he know I know? And I was thinking,
of course he knows because I talk to him and I talk to Luke every day.
And I was like, is he actually going to do defenders? Which I knew you talked to him about how my list does into it. But I was like, does he believe it or not? And I took the squad I bought was to go into defenders. And I was like, I'm going to go into defenders. And if he does bring out Avengers, it's not the best, but I can work around it. And I did get lucky that he did bring defenders. But I do agree if he went with Avengers instead, it would have been a tougher matchup.
Yep. So I guess we're already talking about the finals match as far as like the pairing process goes. So yeah, and I decided it was funny because like both of you guys said that you were a bad matchup in the Mike's Guardians. So I decided that I would try to set up that matchup the best I could. And we did get there. So that was a pretty even matchup, let's say, in that case. Didn't quite pan out the way we wanted to, but it was very, very close. And that brings me the fact that like if you're playing in a time event, folks, please practice your clock management as well, because that can come into play. Most of our games did not go to clock, but unfortunately, the game I had against Luca did actually go to clock. And should I have, there were a couple. I'm replaying it back in my head. There's a couple instances where I could have saved like 30 seconds here and there. That would have been all the difference in trying to make one more attack to try to win the match at the very end. But it is life at times. So unfortunately, we quickly already spoiled the fact that we did not unfortunately win the event. Your guys did make it to the final table, and I'm very proud of this team that was able to do that in that process. I do want to highlight that that to get to there though, we did have to go through several matchups, and I think I was very proud of our pairing process in each of those. The chart made it a lot easier for me to sort of make sure that each matchup that nobody was going into a match that I felt like they were terribly disadvantaged. At worst, it was like a fair matchup for everybody. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. You did a really good job with the pairings.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think our strategy was a little different in that instead of putting down defenders, we said in the first 2 rounds that my list should be was so heavily advantaged in certain matchups. We paired that up to sort of get not a guaranteed win. Nothing's a guaranteed win, but like this is a really high percentage chance Mike should win this game. So then we just need to win one other one, and we were still happy with the other pairings also. So I've right? Am I missed?
No,
I think that's the way we kind of felt, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially the first round, we were debating to put you or Jian down. But I told Jian, I think when you went to the bathroom, I told Jian, I was like, Jian, you put yourself down. That way we can have Whalen's list go into one of the other 2 lists and like pick, whichever list they put down, which they did put down on Mighty Avengers, like, this would be a heavily advantaged matchup.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that my list was like good into every list. It was more like it was just fair, right, into most matchups outside of like APOC. Mm-hmm. But the 2 of you had lists that punished particular archetypes like really well. So, and I wanted to make sure that I set you guys up for those particular favorite matchups instead.
Yeah, I do think if I go back in time, I don't think I would have. Depends how far back in time. I think if I go back 2 weeks from now, I play Steve 1 instead of Inhumans as my duel. I think that Deaton kind of found the more optimal pathway there. And if I go back even farther, not to derail this podcast, I think I would have preferred you on defenders, and I would have liked to have done either pure Inhumans or there's some other things I would have liked to have dove into that I think would have been really good. I mean, obviously we got to the finals, so it wasn't. It's not like it was an awful.
No,
Uh,
I just wanted to head off the past that you self-proclaimed already on this podcast and you like playing with the broken things. So we wanted to give you the biggest guns we could, plural, that a team could have access to, right? And we figured defenders was like, what else could you ask for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like though that Jin did pick Shield, because since it was such a good generic list to go down first, and that we can have your list punish other archetypes, like you said. So
Yeah.
for people that are like going to like 3-man team events, it's good to have a list that against most teams, it could just go down first, because it's generically fine into mostly everything in the game, and it's always on an even playing field, like Shield was.
Yeah, I think like Shield Avengers, like, it doesn't have to be those. Like, I'm sure there's going to be more like once the July like updates like roll around.
Yeah.
But find a team that is willing to just play the scenario, and that has a hard time with people stopping from playing that scenario, right? And I think that usually puts people on the clock to like figure out a game plan. Either that, or they just end up falling behind eventually. Shield is, for me, it was very interesting because like I used rescue in like every matchup, and she was so pivotal in just like keeping all the killers like alive. So keeping Namor topped off, keeping Zemo top off, splash characters either Emma or Omega like topped off, so that they were able to all just do the work that they were supposed to. And that was like a very hard set of questions that a lot of teams just like weren't able to answer well enough at the end of the day, and that's what attributed to a lot of wins the weekend. Personally, Waller, you did a great run. I think I only lost to DeLuca. Mike, I think you had like what happened, the matchups that ended up going a little sideways, but like I think the game plans you had were like pretty good though, like going through them.
I think my game plan in round 3 was deeply flawed. I should have played Shang-Chi. I think if I play Shang-Chi, I'm advantaged in that matchup. I mean, it was a narrow loss, 17-15. But I think if I play Shang-Chi, I'm scoring more each round and forcing his models to react differently. And I think I become advantaged. So that was a mistake. And then against Sooner, I think my squad was perfect. I think my game plan was solid. I just, in the last round, I teleported my Black Bolt conservatively instead of aggressively. And I think if I port him aggressively, I become advantaged to close it out. Either that round or the following round. Instead, I went to a more conservative pathway, and Sooner described it as I played not to lose instead of playing to win. Like, I should have put the dice in my hands rather than his hands the final round, and then it bounced his way. I think it was a 40% chance to get my Black Cat, and he got it. And then it just, my strategy collapsed. Whereas if I ported Black Bolt aggressively, he either has to respond by moving models away from Black Bolt, or if he does daze Black Cat like he did, my Black Bolt in a position to now kill multiple models. So I just should have put the dice in my hand rather than in his hands. So at least I could be like, oh, this didn't work out. But instead I put it too conservative. So Sooner was right on that.
Well, yeah, it's good that you recognize that after the event.
Yeah. I mean, neither lost I would blame on dice. I think they're both things that should have been done differently.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen.
No, I mean that's it. Yeah, I mean the only reason I lost my match was just pure to just indecisiveness, right? As far as stuff goes, but the actual game plan, one of the most decisions I was very proud of, each step way through.
I will say even though I won all my games, I learned a valuable lesson. I have to stop overextending some characters, because a lot of my characters kept getting one shot over the weekend, and I was really thinking why does that keep happening? And there'd be times where I'll be like, I don't think they're gonna get one shot, and then I'll overextend them just a little bit more than I have to. And I really have to think to myself, is this extra bit of movement actually worth to even not even get one shot, but giving my opponent an advantage to double tap my character? And that's something I have to work on that I noticed over the weekend.
Yeah, I think once you've been bad touched a few times from an opening movement that you're very confident in, you're like, maybe I should check threat ranges more often, and that's something that you can always work on, practicing is understanding where medium move 4, range 4 dicer can come from, right? For instance, so Yeah, I don't want to say that we have to go into each of our matches, but is there any highlights you want to give out? So I know we talked about the Grip and Rippin match quite a bit, but does anyone have any highlights for any of the other matches that they want to share at all?
Mike, you want to go first?
I'll just say that my third round opponent, Eli, was a really cool dude and played a great game. And he's somebody that I think people probably don't know because he doesn't have a platform. But I'm sure within the Austin community, they all know him. He's a strong player. And I will say my second round opponent was a really cool guy. And it was funny that he saw me doing some really dumb, broken crap. And instead of him being like salty about it, he was just like, huh, I'm going to lose this game. And, we're just kind of laughing about how stupid. I was playing Black Bolt in Defenders, bodyguarding Shang-Chi and Strange, with Black Bolt, Strange buffing his dice. So I was doing 8 dice, reroll 1, potentially 8 dice, reroll all if Blue Marvel was around.
Get the fuck out of here. That's so stupid.
My opponent was just like, oh, there's just no way I'm going to ever put damage through. I'm like, no, you're not.
Oh my God, that's what you were doing it?
Yeah, and then it was on that shelters secure. So I went 4 wide at 20, and then I just held Prio and Black Bolt, Blue Marvel were just killing everything.
Oh, but you were
no.
Yeah, it was a really abusive game. It was quite silly.
Anyway, that's why I gave you all the guns, because I know this is what you want to do, Mike.
I like to play games where it's not much of a game for my opponent. Yes, I like to take away all of their fun, and I like to feel like I'm cheating when I'm playing. That's why I love JRPGs where like I can break the game, like Final Fantasy V.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good game, by the way. 5 is actually one of my favorites. Small side tangent.
Yeah, I once played in a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tournament where I heard a man behind me say, quote, "That man is an enemy of fun," because I was just flying to the top of the screen, calling assists, and just being as lame as humanly possible. It's just the way I like to play games.
That's what's up, Mike. This is why you are arch nemesis for me.
Yeah, I know what I'm about.
Spoiler of fun here. Yeah, actually, second round opponent, I really liked True Believers. They had such a good attitude about them. Chuck's Avengers team was like really scary, like just this like displacement monster of a team. So like I was very, very challenged in like all of my like rounds against so I appreciate all my opponents.
I didn't really get a full breakdown of that game. Like, how did you win that against Steve 1 with the tools that he had? Would you just like killed his models, or?
Yeah, basically the way of that game went was that I'm going to kill Hulk, and I'm also going to kill Valkyrie as soon as I could. Basically, once they like came into my lines.
But like, didn't Steve 1 wasn't bodyguarding for them? Like, how did that go down?
So basically, all the attrition happened round 2 and 3, basically. And the thing is, Chuck activated Steve quite late in round 2 because he was behind a building on a back lockdown point. So he had to double walk quite a bit to get there. I think Valkyrie helped him just to, like, could go back and help him a little bit to move forward, but by then, like, it was like we're already quite in the mix, and Hulk's life was teetering about that 3/4, 2/3, like depending on the healing that he was able to receive, and that made it kind of precarious for them. So he always had to activate Hulk first later in the round, and obviously if you activate Hulk first, his output's a lot weaker, right? Because you can come back in, and the shield team I have is like very fast, right? It's got all these long movements. Just have to get back into the fight. So it ended up working that way. Shang-Chi also picked up a extract round 1, which means he was unable to charge until round 2 or 3, basically. So
yeah, but he's Steve 1, right? So he should be able to charge round 2 right away.
Sorry. He should have charged round 2. Yeah, what happened there? I think we just kept far enough away that he wasn't in a single charge range. He had to walk and charge, I think, for round 2, I want to say. So basically, like, I think Hulk was just too into my lines, and I was just ready to sort of catcher's mitt the big green ball, and we kind of just worked on it. It wasn't easy though, because like we were still trying very, very hard, but it pulled through eventually. Basically that way.
I think that was the game that me and Mike went and we walked to the grocery store and got you lunch.
No, we walked after round 1.
It was after round. Okay.
Yeah, we both won our. Yeah, we both won our game pretty quick, and we did not care how Jian did because we were hungry. So we went and got lunch. We were confident that you were going to win. So it was all good.
Thanks,
and we
guys.
were right.
I want to shout out. For me, I'm gonna bring it back to True Believers. Brian, fantastic dude. That guy was a blast to play. We were joking the whole time. There's moments where my dice were high and where his dice were high, and we didn't like care whose dice were high. We were just like cracking jokes. I gave him one of my Legos to use as a score tracker, and then me and him were just talking after that game for the rest of the event and getting to know each other. So he's a really cool dude. Also, Tom from Conan the Barbarians. I saw him last year at Squad Goals. He was my first year opponent. And we ran it back and played the bonus game, which he got the win against me this time around. And he was a great dude. Talked to him all weekend. So shout out to him. He's on Discord as, oh my God, I forgot. Mike, you told me the other day. What is he on Discord again?
Cognito Bandito.
Yes, that's Tom. Yeah.
Nice to finally put a name to the face. That's nice. Or, yeah, face to the name? Face to the name is what I meant to say.
Yeah, but I want to say like my favorite moment was the stream game because I had my girlfriend, my mom, and all my friends watching. So that was a big highlight. I didn't expect everybody that wanted to watch. I like briefly mentioned before we left. It was like, oh, there's gonna be a stream, and then they're all like, oh, send the link. If you do get on stream, we'll all watch it. Sent the link. Didn't think they actually were watching it, and they found out that they were. And then after the game, everyone was like texting me how proud they were of me. So that's a moment that I'm gonna remember for a long time.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to get that.
That was an amazing moment. That felt very heartwarming.
Yeah, too bad Jian and I couldn't make it a little bit better.
It's okay.
Just gonna sat here in silence for.
It's fine. Right. I'm proud of both of you guys.
Nah, I mean like honestly though, like I think we did better than people expected, and I think that is something to be said at the end of the day. We'll do our best to bring it home next year, but like I am still proud of the three of us at the end of the day. So, don't take that for granted. I think everyone had like great moments, great showings, and I would happily play with the two of you again. If that.
I mean, we have to thank the other pork roll team because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have gotten second place. By them losing to the pair down, that gave us second place. So shout outs to Jeff
and Ben.
Teamwork makes the dream work, guys. Good job. You did your role perfectly.
Yeah. We all got top 3, and then they lose their pair down, so it makes us better.
Yeah, so shout out to the N-Meats for helping us get second place. Thank you, N-Meats.
Yeah. Thank you, N-Meats. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Dan. Thanks you guys for making that happen. Also, just a quick shout out again to all the opponents that we got to play: Mom Spaghetti, True Believers, the Kolak Crew, Grip It and Rip It, and Conan the Barbarians 3. Everyone was a blast to play against. Our games were insane all around, but I think we had a great time playing everybody. No really bad opponents, I think, this weekend, which I'm very, very happy to say in this community.
No, I enjoyed every one of my opponents.
Yep. Okay, guys, we're wrapping up to the end. Any final thoughts or anything else you want to shout out before we start winding down?
I mean, Squad Goals is my favorite event of the year because I get to see a bunch of people that I talk to regularly on Discord, and I'll be going back every single year.
Yeah, shout out to Sweepy for a pleasant birthday present to Mike. It was very, very sweet, I think.
Squishy is his name, Squishy.
Squishy? Is it now Squishy, not Sweepy anymore?
Well, when I got home, my wife was like, why did that Squishy guy get a shirt with your face on it? So now he is going to be Squishy.
Now he's officially Squishy. Yep. Well, did you have any last thoughts?
I'll backtrack on what Whalen said. I think Squad Goals is definitely my favorite event of the year. As of right now, it was a great event. Taco Guys run it very smooth. Love that it's on chess clocks. Love the terrain. The venue was really good. I know they had to switch venues. It was a new gaming store, so that was awesome. But there's a grocery store right by it that we could walk to get some coffee and lunch. Everyone there was chill. They were all great people to talk to. And it's really nice to put faces to names for all the people that you see on Discord.
I do have one question for you guys. Do you I think Nate's going to put out in a survey asking, to vote on 5-man versus 3-man for next year. I suspect 3-man will always remain more popular, but where do you guys land on that?
5-man. If they have that, I'm going to vote 5-man.
I think we're biased because, I'm biased because of WTC. Has made me a true believer is 5-man is like an incredible format to get, but I know it's like a hard ass logistically, right, for a lot of people.
I think for 5-man, from what I've seen from WTC, there's usually always like a gimmick list, and I want to play the gimmick list. Like, so I really like this. It's a lot more restricted on the characters. You have to think really outside the box of the characters you want to bring, and I think the practice in a 5-man event will be much more worth it if it pays off.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We also are very blessed, Mike, that Porker Protocol has a wide bench that we can draw some very good players from as well. So we can easily scrounge together a very strong 5-man list, I think.
Yeah, I just worried that you would have less players overall because making teams of 5 is harder. But like ideally, yeah, if you could get a large number, like if you get the same number of players with 5-man teams, that'd be cool. But if 3-man teams helps the event grow to year, then that's what I'm all about. Because I just want more players.
Yeah, I of course like vouch for whatever is the most long term, like responsible thing, right, for the event, because obviously like taco truck guys, like they do a lot to put this event on, and they did a great job, I think, overall. So yeah, if that makes sense, I think we would like to keep this going, and even if it's a 3-man team, because it's still a really fun event at the end of the day. So with that, like I said, thank you for everybody that we got to meet again and see again. Danny Modesto, for the folks from Oregon, everybody's in West Coast that we don't get to see very often, and everybody that obviously, Mike, you talked to a whole bunch of people, so it's nice to just have everybody coming up and saying hi again. And yeah, it was just a pleasant experience around. And I also hope that we get to see that game store as well, because like that couple that ran that store, like very nice, very accommodating. Like I wish them nothing but success, like in any future events they want to hold, because it is a nice place to hold events at, I think.
Yeah, I would 100% agree.
Yep. All right. So with that, then you can find 11-1 at our Discord at 11one.com. There's also our Gmail, which is aliveon1@gmail.com. We have a list of RSMP videos that if you want some early deployment tips, I created. So they're on a playlist now that I'll try to share below. You can find our affiliate link below. And let's see. Mike Whalen, thank you again for taking this time, 2 hours of your late night to record this episode, and also being a part of this team. So we couldn't have done it without you, man.
Thanks. I mean, it helped get me some models on the painting table. So I just finished up Ronin, and I got halfway done on Avalanche and Black Widow. So a good night for me.
Nice.
Yep. All right. Well, in that case, Godspeed Ronin, and have a good night.
Fuck Blue Marvel.